Hello, welcome to my balcony and my March question and answer session. So I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked on Patreon while I draw the requests that were also asked on Patreon. And I'm going to take you along with me. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing more, and enjoy. Thank you. So the first request is fruit characters, which I'm excited about. And the first question is, what is my favorite thing to draw? I'm a firm believer in people are sponges and we produce what we consume. So I do consume a lot of really cute media, a lot of really colorful media, sparkly things and stuff like that. So I end up drawing a lot of that as well. My favorite thing to draw is probably cats, because there isn't really a wrong way to draw them. They're just kind of blobs, like any shape could be a cat. I like black cats. I have a black cat. My favorite movie has a black cat. So lots of black cats, and then lots of stars and clouds, lots of skyscapes and places and things. I'm not much of a character drawing person. I know a lot of people are, but I actually go the other way, and I enjoy drawing places and working in perspective and things like that. When I had my graduate mid-school review thing, they told me I had the opposite problem of a lot of people, where my environments were stronger than my figures, which isn't very common. Normally it's the other way around, because people like drawing people. But I guess I don't like people, or at least I don't like to draw them. So I do a lot of animals and a lot of places and things like that. I do kind of fall into the fantasy adventure zone on a lot of my drawings, just because I like this whimsical, fantastical element that ends up in a lot of my work. I don't really do a lot of slice of life. I usually add some sort of magical, enchanted twist to a lot of things. And then going along with the drawing places, I do a lot of urban sketching. And urban sketching is just plein air drawing, essentially, where you're outside and you're drawing what you see. And so when I guess would travel, not so much anymore due to the pandemic, I would take my sketchbook and have a travel journal, essentially, of all my sketches of wherever I went. So that was really fun too. I enjoy drawing places that way as well. So in short, I like drawing cats and skies and places, if I had to pick my top three. Alright, next request is lizard. I ended up doing a whole page of these. And the next question is, what are my sources of inspiration? So this is going to overlap with the past question just like a little bit, but I believe everything is a remix. That is the name of a series that can be found on YouTube, talking about how all media is just other previous media through a different filter. And I think that I'm subconsciously remixing all the things that I consume, which a lot of those big influences are animation, personal stories, and just visual stuff. So animation would be Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, anime, things like that. I don't have a specific anime in mind, but some of the overacting and cliches in anime that I see come through in my work quite a bit. And then personal stories and thinking about those through a new lens. For example, I have a black cat, so a lot of my work ends up having a lot of black cats. I like to travel, look at new places. So a lot of my drawings have locations inspired by those places. Even subtle things like the types of trees I draw are based on the Midwest trees I grew up with, things like that. And I don't believe that's just me. I think that's a lot of people. So one time I was talking to my best friend, and she mentioned she was talking to someone who was from Louisiana, like she is, and they were talking about how they naturally draw grass, which to anyone who isn't an artist thinks that's weird, but for us that's a normal Tuesday, talking about how we draw grass, and how, because they're from the same area, they end up drawing grass with all of these V shapes in it, because I guess in Louisiana, when the grass gets long enough in the yards, it splits into these V's, and it just kind of shows up. And so they can tell who grew up in a similar area because they draw grass the same. So I'm sure there's a lot of Midwest plant and architecture influence in my art that I'm not even aware of, and just stuff I grew up with that comes through. Another source of inspiration is what I consume through media. So if I'm reading a lot of comics, I end up drawing a lot of comics. If I'm playing a lot of Pokemon, I end up drawing a lot of fan art. A lot of the time my art ends up being kind of a reflection of what is currently happening in my life, which is kind of fun to look back and remember sometimes. It's this visual time capsule that just kind of subconsciously comes through. Sometimes it's a very literal time capsule if I'm doing a lot of comic strips and things like that. And other times it's more metaphorical-ish. I'd say those are my main sources of inspiration. I'm sure there are other little ones here and there, like this current sketchbook page. I've been watching a lot of studio vlogs on YouTube, and they've been doing a lot of collage-ish stuff like this layout, and I was like, oh, I want to try that. So just even little things of what I'm watching on YouTube ends up coming through in my work. This is the last request, and it is Tortoise. I'm actually going to draw a little comic about a tortoise. And then the question is, what is my favorite movie? My default answer for a long time has been Kiki's Delivery Service by Studio Ghibli, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I watched it when I was very little, and I was just completely enchanted by it, and my answers never really changed. It's a movie I can watch over and over again and not really get tired of, so that's always nice. And I think when I was little, I liked the idea of flying and magic and black cats. That movie is really probably why I have a black cat today. And now that I've grown up quite a bit and I watch it again, it's kind of this new lens. So there's a character in the movie named Ursula, and she's an artist. And Kiki is the main character. She's a witch, and she is left home to learn how to be a witch and kind of teaching yourself, which is really hard. But she starts a delivery business that is reliant on her skill to fly a broom, and she gets burnt out and depressed, and she's alone in this big city. And Ursula sees this and is like, hey, come hang out with me at my cabin and let's take a break. And they have this really great conversation about burnout and finding your inspiration, and when you're stuck, just taking a break, take a walk, doze off at noon, whatever, and eventually your inspiration will come back to you. But also finding your own inspiration, and it can't be just something that someone else found. It has to be unique to you, and you have to find your reason why to do something. So that scene, I think, speaks a lot to visual artists overall, but it is interesting how that scene became more important to me as time went on and as my career developed. But really, I love Miyazaki, I love Disney, anything animated, anything fun, I'm probably into it. So I kind of want to explain what I'm doing on this page. After doing a couple pages of just drawings, I wanted to do a little tiny comic, kind of getting back into comics right now. And the prompt was tortoise, and I thought that tortoise lived really long, and so what if there was a grandma tortoise? And so she starts her morning with her cup of tea. She goes to her garden and has this big haul of veggies, and she goes to her farmer's market stand, sets up to sell. And then at the end of the farmer's market, her grandkids come by and she reads them a story while her kid runs the front of the store. She takes a little break, and then at the end of a long, hard day, she sits down with her plaid blanket and her nice warm cup of tea. Just has a nice, relaxing moment at the end of her day. And I thought it turned out a cute little sketch. I really like how that went. I've been trying to do more sketchbooking, and this was a really fun exercise to do in my sketchbook with things that maybe I wouldn't draw normally. But I don't know, it was really fun. I like this a lot. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the answers and the drawing, and be sure to put in your questions and your requests next month when those forms open. I look forward to doing this again. Thank you.